Okay, so hello, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here at FutureNet. I'm Carla Penedo. I'm the Executive Director for Cognitive Automation at Celfocus. Celfocus is a high-tech system integrator company with over 20 years of experience in the telco industry, and in the last years we have been supporting many CSPs on their journeys towards digital transformation and autonomous networks. I'm delighted to be joined by Stijn Eeckhaut. He is the product owner for network automation at Telenet, a leading telecommunications company in Belgium and part of Liberty Global. So we are here today to share an exciting and innovative journey on autonomous networks. And please, Stijn, how did it start?
Thank you, Carla. Now, how did it all start? It started some 2 years ago, where we started our journey looking into autonomous networks. And we asked ourselves a question: how do we need to structure, prioritize, and scale our network automation investments? And of course, we have the TM Forum framework to give us some structure on that, but we also had some additional questions that were important to us. The first one being how to break the glass ceiling of network automation. How really to go, really achieve shift left, take a giant leap forward with regards to reliability, with regards to scale, autonomy, building the foundations, having the foundations right. So that's on one part of the story. The other part is, of course, starting where we can have immediate impact, creating value from day one, centered around the use cases, of course, also the benefit drivers like efficiency enhancement, customer experience enhancement, and simplification, not only of the application landscape, but also of the processes. So that made us realize that we needed to get better with data in a network operations context. And the real question to us is, how can we make our network data landscape AI ready? Today, we are not even talking about AI. We are, in fact, talking about making our network data landscape AI ready, which is also a red line across the topics of the conference today. And for that, so we are building a network data foundation where we focus on democratizing our network data, specifically to enable cross-domain use cases. This is the siloed way of working, going to really also from a data producer perspective, going to a data consumer perspective, where we have, in fact, the use cases that create the value. So that's important. Also going to data products, productizing our data sets in order to be able to leverage the use and the reuse of data sets for data consumers. That also leading to data quality, of course. And then on top of the network data foundation, we created a new network AI product, which we call Cognitive Network Operations, and it's specifically creating a cross-domain real-time decision-making capability for network operations. That's also the moment where our colleagues from Liberty Global came into play, and together we co-created this new network AI product. It's focused around a number of value-driven use cases. The first one being impact assessment, automated service impact assessment, requiring us to look into a specific type of data, topology data. A second use case type is real-time root cause analysis, and there we need to look into streaming telemetry data to enable real-time observability. A third one then is ticket enrichment, recommendations, so everything related to unstructured data, where we try to leverage generative AI capabilities. This, in the end, all leading to a shift left for our network teams. Very important, so we have the teams on board. And of course, we want them to supervise and enhance the process rather than executing it. So that's the end goal. So without having an official level 4 ambition, this leads to a level 4 ambition, going cross-domain, real-time decision-making capability, certainly when we add intents and agents later into the mix. And then we zoom in on the first use case, which is automated service impact assessment. And if perhaps someone can help with going to the next slide. There it is. So in fact, what we've done together with our partner Celfocus is creating a first version of a network digital twin, where we automate service impact assessment for planned changes in the transport network. So specifically, when we plan a change on a point of presence in the transport network, the question we're trying to resolve is, okay, what is the impact on customers? What is the impact on services? And do that in an automated way. And we started with a very practical approach, Carla.
Yes, indeed. And in fact, the approach was key to get that amazing outcome that could be illustrated in the image that you just presented. Okay, so as a teaser for the next steps, the image that Stijn showed before, okay, was not artificially generated. Neither it is some random image. So don't forget that image. So back to the approach. So after defining what was the use case to start with, service impact analysis, Celfocus and Telenet gathered all the teams. The business with the SMEs and the network engineers, and also the technical, so the architects, the data engineers, the data scientists, so that we could design and fully understand how was the existing process. So who was involved, who needed to participate, what were the systems, what were the limitations and the challenges. And also to define what was the end game, the goal that we was pursuing. And in this particular case, the goal was to get minimal impact on customer and operations every time there was an intervention on the transmission network. So we had several workshops. We used our facilitation maps framework that fosters a very dynamic and collaborative environment, and also results in the end in a map, a very visual and intuitive map that the teams can use later on. So this is a simplified version of that process, so the existing process. I won't enter into details, but you can see here that there are different teams involved, many systems, and also a multitude of steps that need to be executed in order to do service impact analysis. In the end, resulting in a highly intense manual process that, for sure, Telenet had wanted to change towards a more automated process. And here you can see that most of the steps are automated. But we still keep the human in the loop, okay? Because it's important, but with a different perspective, with a different role. Here has a supervisor, has a validator of the outcomes coming from the automated solution. So where did we start to build the MVP for this solution? Considering that we had several automation requirements, and also the fact that we want to build the capability for the network digital twin. And once again, we started with the foundations that here are rooted in how we handle, we manage, we represent the data. And we use knowledge graphs to map the transmission network topology. And why map networks as graphs? There are many different reasons. Here is just my top 5. So they align naturally with the representation of the networks and all the interconnected entities. They capture the complexity and richness of all the relationships in the network. Also, the way they are structured, they help us to easily capture information from multi-domains, providing an holistic perspective of the network and enabling cross-domain analysis. For instance, if we have an issue on the mobile network, such as a drop in call quality, we can track it back to identify that the root cause is, in fact, a specific malfunctioning transmission node. Also, these type of structures are highly suitable for AI, machine learning, and automation capabilities, where we can have AI algorithms such as anomaly detection, predictive, to generate actionable insights that are then triggering orchestration and automation processes. For example, we can have AI to detect network patterns, to predict maintenance needs, for proactively address the issues before impact customer service. And also, with this type of structures, we can capture real-time data sources in a very dynamic way without requiring rigid schemas and structures. And this type of flexibility allows to capture changes as network evolves and scales with growth. And finally, they are very efficient for query performance because queries can follow the connections between the different nodes. And this is key, especially when we have or we need to do very complex analysis involving direct and indirect connections between different entities in the network. So this was a little bit of theory, but now Stijn can tell us a little bit more about that great image and the benefits and impacts of the MVP.
Yes, indeed. So what we actually created then is a scalable graph database tying different information sources together, or inventories. And in that way, by connecting them, of course, we are able to query this kind of graph with graph queries. It's a very, very powerful way of asking all kinds of topology-related questions to the system. It has proven to be very scalable, so we have more than 600K nodes in our model, and also 1.4 million edges between the nodes. And so it generates automated insights on service impact assessment on our transport network. What are the benefits and results that we observed? So first one is a substantial acceleration, but also a simplification of our impact assessment process. So where typically it was a very manual process, where it could take up until 2 hours, for example. Now the system is able to do it in 6 minutes. So that's a very substantial acceleration. And we have a coverage rate of 90% of use cases for the impact assessments on the transport network. So nice results over there. Also, what we have is more accurate impact assessments through a standardized data analysis process, also requiring us to look into data quality from the start on. So we're creating this with the network teams that are using it, but also responsible for making sure that the network data sources have a good quality. So it's kind of a vicious circle in that way, a reinforcing circle. As you noticed too, we did a lot of workshops, so doing this together with the teams that are using it in network operations, it made them also upskill. We managed in upskilling the network engineers as they are in fact supervising and enhancing rather than executing the process. So that's up until now. What do we see next? We plan to incrementally extend our digital twin, not only with additional layers on top of the transport network, so additional OSI layers, so to say, but also extending into other domains. Now we are at the core of the network. When you also plan to extend to the RAN part of the network, we will have more deterministic information available to enable more sophisticated impact assessments. So that's first. Also, when we introduce, so our cognitive network operations product is all about creating a real-time cross-domain decision-making capability. So it's up until smarter decision-making. When we then add AI agents to the mix, in fact, we can close the loop toward, and that will help us in our journey towards autonomous networks. And then we can also use the digital twin for intent validation. When we want to apply a certain intent to the network, we can verify, we can simulate, we can verify, we can validate what the intent would do. And in that sense, it enables also quick adaptation to business objectives. The real challenge ahead is also how do we reimagine the way we operate our networks.
So you have been hearing the story, right? Celfocus is partnering with Telenet to build a future-proof network platform, intelligent, scalable, adaptable, powered by an AI-ready infrastructure, and something that can continuously evolve with cutting-edge AI and automation capabilities. But well, technology, even the most innovative one, alone is not enough. So my team who is building this solution mostly consists of engineers. I'm also an engineer, and I can tell you that we love to start with diagrams such as this. Probably even more complex with more boxes, but we really like to start with these trendy technologies and innovative. But most of all, we enjoy creating solutions that people can use and take benefit from it. Otherwise, it will be in vain. So in the end, true innovation only happens when people embrace these advancements. And that's why we are not just only focused on building the capabilities, but also in providing the means to foster adoption. And this is key, of course, also for Telenet. In fact, they have a success metric that is indeed the adoption of the network engineers. And the network engineers are becoming hybrid experts because they are blending the network expertise with new data skills so that in the end they can take or leverage the full potential of solutions such as this one. So we are also developing features step by step. We follow a value-driven approach, aligning with what matters the most to the operations and to the teams. And we are building this platform in such a way that we are also enabling a digital platform so that network engineers can evolve from developing to composing and deploying new use cases, reusing the curated data sets and capabilities that are already available in the platform. So in the end, we are not just building technology, right? We are shaping the future. We are reimagining the way we can operate operations, our networks, because we are also focused on empowering people, streamlining operations, and fostering an environment where we can really effective use innovation. So, to conclude.
Indeed, that brings us to the key takeaways of our presentation. So, our initial network digital twin validated the idea of leveraging a scalable cloud-based graph database to tie information sources together, and in that sense, allowing us to advance in cross-domain decision-making. Also, data quality is of course of big importance. It's key. And it requires us to focus on data ownership, also the democratization of data across domains to enable use cases, the productization for the use and reuse and the quality, and also shifting from the producer focus, which are typically applications, to the consumer focus, which are use cases that generate value. And as a last point, extending our digital twin with additional layers, with additional domains, and also with additional data types will enable us to go to more advanced insights and advanced decision making. And when we add then also agents to the mix, we will be able to close the loop and also go for intent validation and in that sense go towards autonomous networks. And that brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Just hold on there for a moment. It's really interesting. We've got just a minute or two, and I mean, a lot of questions. Really, really interesting. The two questions I did want to ask, Stijn, from a day-to-day point of view, I mean, this is a great demonstration. Is this something that happened at a football stadium and you had a great project and so on, or is this something that you're living and breathing every day? How are your team using? How is this changing their day-to-day work?
How they're using it. So we created it together with them, that to start. So we mapped the whole process. So we really got a good view at the start of the MVP on what kind of use cases that were important to them, also consuming a lot of their volume on daily work. And what we did then is, when we had the first phase of the MVP, is also looking into, they in fact, we set up data crunching sessions, so we had weekly validations of what was happening at the moment and how good the model was at that moment. And of course, it was an increasing curve of accuracy, also coverage of use cases. So that was the first part. More synthetic use cases we started with. Okay. So the team actually defining the use cases. And then in the next phase, we moved to real life use cases, so to say. So the real impact assessments coming in from the business, so to say. Okay. And so that was a second phase where we also checked how we made progress based on real cases. And now we are at the moment, so I had a chat with the team just a few days ago for the really standard use cases. They're right now relying already on the system. while when it's about more edge cases, they still, of course, validate next to what the system is proposing.
Fantastic, fascinating, fascinating. Carla, I mean, you touched on a couple of points towards the end there. What's critical to the success of an initiative like this? There's some technology in there, that's part of it, but give us a sense of what's the top 3 or 4 things that are critical for success.
So in line with what I present, I would say adoption, because it's key to have the teams involved since day one, because we need to have technology serving the people's needs and not the other way around. Yeah. And that has been key in these and in other projects as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Please show your appreciation for that fascinating case study.
Thank you.